As a WordPress user, you already know that this thing comes to you as a shell. You kind of have to fill it out and make it what you want it to be, because at the beginning, it really is just built as a blog site, but it can do so much more than that. WooCommerce is great on there. Your email integrations, everything that you want to do is on WordPress as this premier builder. But one of the most important things that you need to decide on when you first get your WordPress installation is which website builder am I going to use. Sorry, but Gutenberg is just not good enough. And there are a bunch of different options out there, but today I'm going to talk about two premier options, Elementor and WPBakery, and I'm going to compare them for you based on their price, the page setup ease, how easy it is to build the page, the templates that they have, and their integrations. My name's Trent Kennelly. I'm a marketing strategist, and on this channel, I talk about all the things that you can do to improve your business through marketing, sales, and analytics. So if that sounds good to you and you're excited, make sure that you like this video, comment, and let me know which one of these things you're leaning toward after this video is over or during it, or if you're thinking about something totally different, let me know that as well. I would love to know. Subscribe to this channel if you're into it, and let's get started. All right, let's talk about price. So WPBakery costs $45 one time for one site for life. You can switch the license between sites if you want to, but each site is one license and you don't really get to go beyond that. So if you have 200 sites, it's 45 times 200 sites. So that can be good or bad, but the good thing about it is that it's a one-time payment and never again. Elementor has more of a tiered version. So they have a free for life version, and then they have a $45 a year for one site, $99 a year for 3 sites, or $199 a year for 1,000 sites. That's quite a big jump between 3 and 1,000, but it's interesting that they have a free for life version. So because they have free, WPBakery does not have a free version, and WPBakery has a one-time payment and never again option versus Elementor having to pay every single year. There are good and bad things for both, so I'm gonna give them both a point here because it's kind of a wash. And by the way, from this point forward, the comparison is gonna be looking at Elementor Pro versus WPBakery, because WPBakery is 100% pay with no free possibility, so it makes sense to look at Elementor Pro to see what the maximum possibility is between Pro and WPBakery. So page setup, what are we looking for here? With page setup, we want to know how easy is it to get the basics down. So to get the blocks set up appropriately, to get rid of junk like the page title as a header on your WordPress page. All that sort of stuff you want to be able to tweak very easily. And if we look at WPBakery, we can see that there's a front end and a back end editor, and each of them do different things. So you have to toggle between them to, for instance, on the back end editor, organize placements and blocks and move columns and rows around and all that sort of stuff. While on the front end, you do images and CTA buttons and text and all that sort of stuff. And so having to go between those two editors isn't hard, it's a button click, but it's still a pain to go to one to correct the placement and then to go to the other to correct the images, and maybe something is going to misalign in between those two, which isn't really that great. I really don't like that at all. It's also not very easy to edit certain things. So for instance, the header, you can't do that inside the WPBakery ecosystem. You have to go outside of WPBakery to the regular appearances tab to make those edits, which is really kind of a shame. It seems like it should be a lot easier than that. And then the final thing I want to point out here is to preview a page is really not very straightforward. If you want to see exactly how it looks, then you can't really do that in the preview, because it does look more or less what it's going to look like. But they want you to believe that that front-end editor is exactly the same, and that's just not true. The only way to see exactly how it's gonna look in WPBakery is to make it live, which is not a great user experience, because then the users are gonna see a half-baked page. And we really don't want them to see anything that's half-baked like that. We want them to see the live experience the minute that it's ready. And so I don't really love WPBakery for that. And then with Elementor, everything is in the sidebar. Page titles, column spacing, fonts, text colors, all that sort of stuff, it's all in the same place. So you don't need to fish around, toggle between different styles, all that sort of stuff to be able to make those edits. You just do it in one place at one time. It's also very easy to switch from, say, editing your page to editing your menu. It's just a one button click. You go from one to the other, and it's almost like toggling between them, which is really nice and simple. So you don't need to fish around for the best place to make those edits. You need to just do it right in there to make the look and feel conform to the the rest of your page. The preview is also extremely easy on this. You don't need to hope that it looks good when it goes live. There's a preview button, you click on that, it'll open a temporary page, and you can see how your page is gonna look in real time rather than just living on a hope and a prayer. It's super simple. So I have to give this point to Elementor. There is just no way that I can give this to WP Bakery. It's way too clunky for me to be convinced that it's worth it. Next, we're gonna look at page building. So you wanna understand here not only how easy it is to add images and text and all that sort of stuff, you wanna know, are there styling options, and are those styling options very simple and easy to use? Do you need to understand CSS to make this builder work for you? Do you need to understand HTML to make it work at its peak performance? Yes or no? If you do need to understand that code, it's less of a good thing because it's causing more work and more education from you rather than more plug and play and let's go make some more money. Okay, so that's what we're looking at here. So WP Bakery's styling options are pretty limited. If you have something specific in mind that you want to do, you have to understand technically how to make that happen for the most part. Let's just take a text block as a good example. So if you want to, you can add bold, centered, italics text, colors, all that sort of stuff. But that's pretty much it. I mean, if you look at it closely enough, you're gonna notice that it's the Gutenberg editor that comes as default for every WordPress install, and there's nothing more to it than that. And so you have to understand technically how to add the CSS code or add the HTML to make that work. If you wanna add a shadow, if you wanna add a rounded corner box or anything like that, you have to know the CSS to make that happen, which is really kind of a shame. And then editing columns and rows is oddly difficult. This is something that to me is a bare minimum question. Can I easily move my text higher up or lower down or to the left or add a row or something like that? It's possible, but it's not easy. You have to understand where you are, which section inside of a section to make that happen. And honestly, it just shouldn't be that difficult to figure it out. With Elementor, it's pretty rare to find something that you can't do easily. Hovering, background styles, color overlays, duplicating rows, duplicating columns, changing opacity, rounding corners, all of this stuff you can do very easily. There's still obviously a small need for CSS, but it's so much less than on WP Bakery. WP Bakery requires just, it feels like an enormous amount of CSS knowledge for something that's supposed to be an easy builder. Elementor really takes into account all of the needs of a modern designer and puts those into building this page so that it's just so much easier to put things in place. It's almost like taking a vector builder like Sketch or Adobe Illustrator and putting it onto your website and just putting those two together. It's really kind of nice. So I have to give the point to Elementor here once again. WP Bakery is just way too limited, way too old, I would have to say. It just doesn't have what you need here. Next, let's talk about templates. So when we're talking about templates, what I mean are the templates that come with the builder. We're not talking about the theme. The theme is at the site level, it's at the WordPress level. Here we're looking at the builder and we want to know what structured elements do these builders come with that just makes it a little bit easier to build your web page out very quickly. You want a lot of these because you want to have a lot of choices because not everything is going to fit your website. And when it comes to WP Bakery, there are very few templates. They're old and they're outdated. They're not easy to see when you are looking at them. And then when you finally decide on one, actually implementing it is difficult. They don't show up in your saved templates. They're not easy to place where you want them to be placed. It's just kind of clunky and a mess. When it comes to Elementor, there's a huge list. They include blocks or whole pages, anything that you want. You can create your own, you can save them easily. It is truly plug and play and very easy to use. Elementor is the clear winner in this category because it's up to date, it's continuing to stay up to date, and it's not clunky and it's very easy to implement. All right, now let's talk about integrations. We want to understand in this section how they work with the rest of the internet. Your business is not just your website, and if it is, we need to talk because that is not a good thing. You want to be outreaching to as many places as you can, and if possible, you want as many of the tools that you're using to be talking to each other as possible so that you have that cohesive database, that cohesive amount of information so that you can understand where sources are coming from, how you're outreaching to people, what you're doing in all of these different areas, etc. So you want to look at all of these little integrations. You want to understand if they're working together, which makes it very easy for you to integrate with your builder and with your system generally. WP Bakery has a very large library of integrations, and this is as a result of two things. One, they've been around for a very long time, so they've had time to accumulate a lot of integrations. And then two, they've allowed third-party developers that are not related with WP Bakery to create their own integrations, which just makes that process a lot faster. Elementor also allows devs to create their own integrations. There just aren't as many of them, and the ones that Elementor has created are less than the number that the third-party devs have created. So as a result, WPBakery is really just the sound winner here. Final score, Elementor wins this, no question. WPBakery is honestly in need of a massive update. It needs an overhaul. They have not kept up with it, they haven't kept up with current trends, and people are leaving it as a result. I definitely did. Elementor is the current front runner, so it's probably pretty hard to beat. There's lots of other competitors out there now, like Beaver Builder, but I would say that even if you put Beaver Builder up against Elementor, if I had to guess, I can do a video on that later, it's probably gonna be true that Elementor is still gonna be pretty hard to beat in an all-around contest right now. We'll have to see how that develops in the next few years, but right now, Elementor is the one to beat. So basically you should only use WPBakery at this moment if you feel like challenging yourself and learning code on the fly. So to me, this is a pretty clear choice, but please let me know if that helped you to figure out which one of these you want to go with and which one of these you think is going to be the best for you. I think it's probably going to be Elementor in every case because it's just a little bit easier. But if you feel like challenging yourself, please let me know that you love challenging yourself in that way for absolutely no reason. I would love to know. Otherwise, please let me know what you thought about this by giving me a like, subscribe to my channel if you're into it, and commenting and letting me know what you thought about this video. And I'll catch you in the next one.